I almost died last week. A visit to the doctor for a physical checkup discovered a major health issue that sent me on an urgent trip to the hospital for implantation of a pacemaker. I had just started working on a new video that asked, "Are we done with the Carolina bays?" Because I feel that I have answered all the major questions about the formation of the Carolina bays and there is no new information to move the subject forward. The introductory paragraph said, "In the past few years, substantial work has been done to establish that the Carolina bays are more likely to have been produced by oblique impacts during a cataclysm than by the action of wind and water for thousands of years. Wind and water have certainly modified the Carolina bays for thousands of years, but the radial orientation toward the Great Lakes region and the precise elliptical geometry of the bays cannot be explained by wind and water mechanisms. The diverse optically stimulated luminescence OSL dates associated with the Carolina bays have been interpreted to mean that the bays evolved over time, but this is the result of misapplying a technology designed for dating earth layers deposited by sedimentation to a terrain whose stratigraphy was scrambled by a barrage of impacts. My symptoms started when I went to Morocco last month. I noticed shortness of breath when I walked fast. I also noticed shortness of breath when taking the stairs from the first level to the second level of my apartment. I made an appointment with my doctor and I drove my car to the medical office building. A nurse measured my blood pressure and pulse. She then took 3 more blood pressure measurements, reclining, sitting, and standing. This was unusual. My doctor came and took my blood pressure with a mercury manometer and then recorded an electrocardiogram. She stepped out of the room, probably to consult with another doctor. She came back and with wide eyes she told me, "Your pulse is 34 and you have to go to the hospital immediately." I told her that I had my car in the garage. She said, "That is fine. You're not going to drive anywhere. I already called 911. You must lie down." They put me on a stretcher. I called my wife and let her know what was happening. This heart condition was quite unexpected. My routine exam 6 months earlier had not shown any abnormalities. I had a very healthy life and good physique even at age 70, but now 9 years later, my auricles were not synchronized with my ventricles. The first responders came very fast. This was my first time in an ambulance. The paramedics immediately put a needle in my arm just in case I needed an intravenous feed and they wired me to a heart monitor. I was glad that they did not turn the siren on. I hate that whining noise. When we arrived at the hospital, I was placed in a cubicle of the emergency room while my records were being processed. I was transferred from a gurney to a hospital bed in a room of the cardiac unit. They wired me with a blood pressure cuff and a heart monitor. They also fitted me with an oxygen sensor that made the tip of my finger glow red, like E.T. the extraterrestrial. Nurses drew blood for all kinds of tests, and a technician put adhesive patches for an electrocardiogram. I did not feel bad. I thought that all the panic from the doctors was unnecessary, but the only reason why I had been able to walk was because I had been hyperventilating to get more oxygen, and I had been flexing my leg muscles to increase my circulation. The monitor by my bed indicated that my pulse was 34 and irregular. The doctors ordered a sonogram of my heart before the operation. My arteries were clear, but the pulse was very slow, just 1 heartbeat about every 2 seconds. I went to surgery the day after I visited the doctor's office. The cardiac team acted like a well-choreographed troupe that got the job done quickly and efficiently. I was only given partial anesthesia, so the action of the heart could be monitored during the operation. I was able to feel when the doctor made the incision below my clavicle, and I felt when the electrodes were being positioned next to my heart. The anesthesia had dulled the pain, but I was alert enough to know when the doctor was stitching the incision, and soon I was done. They removed the anesthesia tent over my head, and they covered me with warm blankets. They held me for observation for a few minutes. While I was recovering, waiting to be taken to my hospital room, they gave me a sandwich and apple juice. I had not eaten anything since I had breakfast the day that I drove to the doctor's office. I was discharged the next day, but not before they had taken more electrocardiograms and more blood samples. After lying down for 3 days, my legs ached and I was happy to get up and walk. My wife drove me home. People ask me if I felt better, and I can honestly say that I do not feel much different than before the operation. But with a higher heartbeat, I do not get winded when I climb a flight of stairs. I could have died in the streets of Morocco during my vacation when I first felt some symptoms. I am glad that what could have been a tragedy has become a lesson about life. We are all going to die someday, but it is good to have an idea of what we want to accomplish during our lifetime and how we want to be remembered. Also, we need to plan an orderly transition for those who survive us. It is important to have wills and estate planning, but the most important thing is to always tell those who are close to us that we love them.